Hi, this is Jackie's Reading Room, and I'm your host, Jackie P. Have you turned some pages today? Here's an excerpt. Yes, Mr. Gray, the gods have been good to you, but what the gods give, they quickly take away. You have only a few years in which to live really, perfectly, and fully. When your youth goes, your beauty will go with it, and then you will suddenly discover that there are no triumphs left for you, or have to content yourself with those mean triumphs that the memory of your past will make more bitter than defeats. Every month, as it wanes, brings you nearer to something dreadful. Time is jealous of you and wars against your lilies and your roses. You will become sallow and hollow cheeked and dull eyed. You will suffer horribly. Ah, realize your youth while you have it. Don't squander the gold of your days listening to the tedious, trying to improve the hopeless failure, or giving away your life to the ignorant, the common, and the vulgar. These are the sickly aims, the false ideals of our age. Live the wonderful life that is in you. Let nothing be lost upon you. Be always searching for new sensations. Be afraid of nothing. Did you recognize the excerpt? It's from the novel The Picture of Dorian Gray, published in 1891 and written by the well-known Irish poet, playwright, and writer Oscar Wilde. Mr. Wilde, like many others after him, such as James Baldwin, E.M. Forster, Larry Kramer, and Audre Lorde, to name a few, was a member of the LGBT community who paved the way for many others. You must know, of course, some of his most famous plays, such as The Importance of Being Earnest. I have to say, I love Oscar Wilde, and I have read and studied some of his work. Now, throughout my career as a teacher and as an avid reader, I've had the opportunity to discover and read several gay, transgender, and non binary authors. A few years ago, my students were given the text A Letter to My Nephew, which was published in 1962 by James Baldwin in the Progressive magazine. You may know that Baldwin was an African American writer who was born in New York City in 1924, and he died in 1987 in France. He is well known for his novels, essays, plays, and poems, and I'm sure many of you are aware of his second novel, which was entitled Giovanni's Room. It came out in 1956, and it featured gay and bisexual men. He was a controversial public figure at the time, you can imagine. And I would say especially during the civil rights movement in the US. And I haven't looked at the whole detail, but I believe that is one of the reasons why at some point he had to go live in France. So maybe you can look that up. More recently, still when I was in the classroom, I used a playwright's Larry Kramer's passionate call to action in the fight for LGBT rights and to end AIDS with his text, Happy, Frightened, Worried, Hopeful. It's a beautiful text. I love it. It's full of contradictory emotions, but you can really feel them, and I really love that. It was published in June 2016 in Esquire magazine. You may have heard of Mr. Kramer, possibly especially from his well-known play The Normal Heart, which was made into a very good film in 2014, and it starred amongst a super cast, Mark Ruffalo and Matt Bomer, and it takes place just at the beginning of the AIDS crisis, when they didn't have a name for it, and they called it the gay cancer, which I think was completely awful. And because I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and I was a teenager then, we were very aware of the threat of AIDS And so anything that touches that era, of course, reminds me of my youth, but also, so good things about my youth, but also um, things like that where, gay people had to fight to get services, and to, to try to be able to live their life in spite of AIDS. Today, if you walk into any library, any bookstore, chances are that you'll find a whole range of titles from LGBT authors and with LGBT themes. You remember a few weeks ago, I went to New York City, and I believe I mentioned that in some episodes, talking about some of the places I saw some great bookstores and libraries, because yes, I do that when I travel. And there was some really nice displays of, LGBT titles. So I like to take pictures of books so that I can remember. You also may remember that in previous episodes, I brought up some LGBT authors as well. So you will remember the successful young adult graphic novel series, Heartstopper. There are 4 books, and I believe there's a 5th coming soon. I hope. I'm waiting for it. And the novel Last Night at the Telegraph Club by Malinda Lo, I talked about that. Now, there is a companion to that book that came out recently. It's called A Scatter of Light. It's got a beautiful cover. You remember also that episode that I talked about book covers? I'm always going to come back to that and talk to you about that, because it's I'm very visual, and so books, I'm very attracted to books in general as objects, as it's my hobby, my passion. But some covers really grab my attention, and that novel, A Scatter of Light, which is described as and I quote, masterful queer coming of age story set against the backdrop of the first major Supreme Court decisions legalizing gay marriage. So that's on my TBR pile as well. And I was recommended by one of my friends, the author Ryan LaSala. He wrote the novel Bedazzled and The Honeys. Ryan LaSala is from Connecticut, and I'm going to read to you that little definition of I guess what he does from his website. I'll put the link there. It says here, Ryan LaSala is the best-selling and award-winning author of books in which surreal things happen to queer people. I love that. That's very cool. So his novel, The Honeys, is in development to become a film. And it is I believe I read something like it's a horror, kind of a horror fantasy type thing. So that should be interesting for sure. And for those of you who, like me, enjoy a good thriller, and especially Scandinavian thrillers, you know that I have a soft spot for those. I believe I did mention Snare, which is the first title for a series of 3 books written by Lilja Sigurdardóttir from Iceland. I'm trying with my Icelandic pronunciation, right? I need to practice. And it stars, a woman who had a partner, had a son, but had an affair with a woman that actually ended the marriage. And it's about her. You see her with this woman, and it's a kind of a complicated relationship, if I can just say that, which I thought was very it was interesting and refreshing, because I hadn't seen that a lot, so I enjoyed that. So this is Snare's the first one, and I'm going to move on to the second one very soon. So Listen, I hope that you were inspired by some of the titles today. I'm going to put the links to those two texts I mentioned, and I'm even going to insert a little LGBT glossary in case you want to refresh some terms that you hear. And hopefully it's going to make you turn some pages and want to share this episode. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon.